Kathy's brazenness was again stepped up when she attempted to steal my Harley. When I was delivering our case to the state attorney, she felt that intimidation, entitlement, and bullying HOA tactics would allow her to assert dominance and warp compliance to her demand. What she was not prepared for was that I was fully equipped with union of legal mandate, tactical savvy, and strategic vision to turn her brazenness into dramatic failure. It was late morning that I drove my Harley to the courthouse, prepared to prepare for a pivotal with the state prosecutor on a case that would set precedent for property rights in local counties. Kathy, having been informed where I was and what I was going to do, rallied her proxies to halt the motorcycle, believing she could take control and intimidate me when distracted. Her boldness was encouraged by successes in previous intimidation of less ready residents. When her agents showed up at the Harley, attempting to tow or seize it, I finished my briefing and walked slowly to the location. My knowledge of the situation, developed through past interactions with Kathy and her entourage, allowed me to foresee each move. Security cameras, neighborhood patrol, and situational sensing provided real-time intelligence. Kathy's henchmen began messing with the Harley, believing it would be an easy one to steal without protest, but I had installed a series of countermeasures for such audacious circumstances. The bike had tracking devices, immobilization alerts, and automatic alerts to law enforcement and private security. The moment they attempted unauthorized handling, alarms sounded and authorities were immediately alerted. Kathy, watching from afar, expected panic and compliance. Instead, she observed her proxies paralyzed, alarms screaming, and the car locked. My presence, authority, and readiness guaranteed that any more hostility would be futile. Her haughtiness, designed to frighten, now stood her squarely at risk of legal punishment. I moved calmly but firmly, demarcating that any interference would result in on-the-spot arrest. The operatives, already disoriented and exposed by the triggered security protocols, observed the gravity of their misjudgment. Kathy's assumption that fear alone may compel compliance was collapsing in dramatic fashion. As I secured the Harley, I added additional tactical measures, perimeter control, recording of the incident, and liaison with police to ensure all moves were legally and tactically justified. All stages of Kathy's brazen attempt were being recorded so she could not manipulate the narrative or shirk responsibility. The neighborhood, drawn by alarms and activity, began watching the show. Kathy's brazenness, once feared, now went publicly. Scorn and incredulity. Her cycle of aggression had landed her in yet another failure, demonstrating that entitlement and intimidation are ineffective against preparation, ability, and authority. Law enforcement arrived on time, confirming unauthorized activity and collecting evidence. Kathy's agents were held responsible for trespass, attempted theft, and harassment. Kathy herself was faced with legal consequences for conspiring the brazen attempt. The message was sent: audacity without planning, preparation, or authority always equals failure. By evening, the Harley was secure, the property guarded, and the human threat contained. Kathy's courageous plan had backfired in her face, dramatically, leaving her open to public and legal repercussions. Cedar Pines' citizens were treated to the sight of the futility of aggressiveness contained by skill, preparation, and authority. Reflecting on the situation, the lesson was plain. Audacity, lacking the support of preparation, foresight, and capability, is totally self-defeating. Kathy's persistent attempts at manipulation and intimidation had resulted in her own public embarrassment, legal risk, and loss of credibility. Cedar Pines would remember this situation as yet another demonstration of how brazen boldness confronts unavoidable consequence when faced with preparedness and power.